All right, guys, Brett here. A quick message here. Something that's been on my heart here for quite some time. It's become more real here recently. And that is that transition from boyhood to manhood and that process, that journey a guy goes through to get to that point. And just the prevalence right now of poor male leadership. You look at from the president on down through organizations. You look at the quality of dads, in my opinion, even because dads are just going through the motions now. They're not even present mentally, emotionally, or physically for that perspective. Husbands, the lack of husbands being present in the lives of their wives as well too. And we all struggle with this stuff. And honestly, just confident, strong, humble, vulnerable men that are there for other people, for other men, for that matter. And we've lost that. Our definition of man has changed, or being a man has changed over a period of time. And you see the results now. You see the mental health issues right now amongst men out there. You look at the dissatisfaction with careers and guys looking for validation in ways of that again, at all-time highs of like pornography, violence, and just things that aren't healthy, drugs, alcohol, other addictions, being consumed by hobbies and sports and things like that are great to have as a fun thing to do, but they can't be the center of your life to distract you from the pain you feel inside because of the fact you have not made that journey. And now all of a sudden we're raising a second generation or another generation, maybe third generation, even for that matter, in some cases, of boys who never become men. They never go through that process. And really when you start looking at this, but I've been consumed by this a little bit lately, just studying and researching and comparing to our current trends. We lack the tribe. We lack the community of men around boys to help guide them, mentor them during that process with it. And that's the second thing we miss. We miss the process now. There's not a process anymore. We just think that when you turn 18 or you go to college, you buy your first house, you get married, you have a kid, that you're a man now. And again, those of you that understand what I'm talking about here realize that that's not the definition of being a man. Tribal cultures and cultures from clear back to the beginning of time have had a process at which they take boys through. A ritualistic process at which a boy knows when he's crossed the threshold and that he's gotten that affirmation, that confirmation, many times from his dad or elders in a tribe, somebody he respects and looks up to that says, you're a man now. And there's a different way he carries himself. There's a different way he approaches life. And he has a responsibility to uphold the standards and the values of that tribe, and specifically the men of that tribe that change how he views life, change how he acts, and allows him then to carry on that tradition. We don't have that anymore. So we've lost that process with it. And lastly, we've lost the drive. Boys, young men, whatever you want to call them, adolescents, the desire to become a man, the desire to evolve, to grow into that has been lost now. It's almost seen as a bad thing now. Men are chastised in many ways of being a man. It's looked down upon for making that transition in so many different ways. So how do we get that back? We've lost the tribe, we've lost the process, we've lost that desire, that urge, that passion, that fire to go through that journey to achieve something on there. And that's really when I get back to, it has to start with the community. We've got to build community again of men, guys that have been through that process, whether you realize or not, they've been through that process. They're now set and determined to not only do that for their own sons and for their relatives and other people that are close to them, for other boys around them, and to be an example for other boys who are men right now to go through the journey so that they themselves can be, again, that person for their son, for the other kids that they coach on their team type of deal that don't have that opportunity. We also have to define the process, and that's really what we're going to get into as well too, is what is that process? What is that ritualistic thing we've lost that we have to find again that helps a boy understand exactly what it is to become a man? And we can take them on that journey. We can move them across in that process where they understand, like, here's where I start. Here's the progression through. Here's the stumbling blocks I'm going to hit. But you know what? That's normal. That's part of the process that I go through to get to this point that I ultimately want to achieve. And lastly, in my opinion, back to it again as well too, of like, we've got to redefine what a man is, but redevelop that drive, that fire behind achieving that. Again, we've made it not a cool thing anymore. We've made it something that's almost anti-current culture that no boy's like, I don't want to fall into that circumstance. I don't want to get to that spot. What's the payoff? What's the benefit for me to be in that spot other than more responsibility, other than people looking at me in a way where they expect something else out of me that I don't want to be type of deal? How do we rediscover that? How do we redefine what a man really is in that process of it? And ultimately get back to celebrating being a man, celebrating going through the process, celebrating that victory of crossing that line with these boys becoming men. And lastly with it, forcing people, forcing is not a right word, causing people to realize they have to earn it. Because when you earn it, you value it. And just turning 18 is not earning that status. Just getting a job is not earning that status. Those are things along the way. Those are milestones along the way. But earning it means you have to suffer a little bit. Earning it means you have to sacrifice a little bit more. So understanding that process and celebrating the fact that somebody's willing to go through that to achieve something that does give them a sense of fulfillment and a sense of gratitude once they've gone through that journey. So this is what this Forged King is all about, is understanding that forging something means you have to put it in the fire. You have to put it in the heat to find that next level, to form something that has greater value. And that's the whole idea. From a boy to a man, there's a forging process that takes place. And if you don't go through that, you don't achieve ultimately what it is that you're looking for. So Forged Kings is all about that. It's a community. It's about building a process. It's about celebrating becoming a man and earning that through that process as well too.